أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa ashabihi wa barik wa sallim. And we send salutations and blessings on our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his families, companions and those who follow him. Jamaatul Muslimin, allow me to share a academic reading from the late Sheikh Siraj Hendricks entitled The Greatness of Ramadan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed as a guidance for humanity, as a clear proof of that guidance, and as a criteria for distinguishing between right and wrong. Inasmuch as celebrating Prophet's birthday, the Milad Nabi, can be read as a celebration of the greatness of the Prophet ﷺ and this aspect of the perfect man, Al-Insan Al-Kamil. And in as much as Yawmu Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, can be read as a celebration of the saving of the Prophet Musa ﷺ from the tyrannical oppression of Fir'aun. Similarly, Ramadan can be read as a celebration of the revelation of the Holy Quran during this month. It stands as living proof of the divinity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as living proof of the authenticity of the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and as living proof of the supremacy of the revelation over everything else. But the Quran is also a huda, a guidance. And as a huda, as true guidance, it teaches us how to live our lives as complete human beings. It teaches us how to live our lives with respect, with dignity, with honor, and with love. It further teaches us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a divinity that embraces the concerns of all human beings. It is also important, Jamaatul Muslimin, to remember that the guidance and concerns of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are not limited to the mere theory or ideals that is uttered. The guidance of Allah plunges us into the mainstream of our earthly existence. One of the ways in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done this is by making the fast obligatory upon all of us. Not only are we required to sympathize with the poor and the hungry, but we are thrown into the very experience of hunger. Not only are we required to reflect upon our condition in a society with its customs, its habits, its rules, and its general routines, which appears far greater than the sum of its individuals, but it forces us to reflect upon the very nature of that society. It is so easy to become a cog in the political, the economic, and the social machines. In short, it becomes a spiritually forgetful. We become spiritually forgetful beings in this material and mechanical processes of the ordinary life. Fasting forces us to break this forgetfulness and forces us to anchor the consciousness of truth and spirituality in every aspect of our existence. That is, to act upon the truth of Islam and to live by its spirituality. Fasting, by depriving us of the daily luxuries and niceties of our normal existence, establishes the supremacy of our essential condition as beings, provided that we are provided with a soul over our condition as material beings. Fasting, therefore, at once draws us into the bosom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and allows us to reflect upon the high morals and social and spiritual values that Islam sets for us. In other words, fasting forces our attention to the broader meaning of taqwa, which is a heightened consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as expressed in the following verse in the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed upon you as it has been prescribed upon those before you, so that you may learn taqwa. The Arabic Jamaatul Muslimin of the phrase in the verse, so that you may learn taqwa, reads as لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. The term taqwa, in its narrower meaning, has been translated as fear or piety or self-restraint and guarding against evil. However, to do justice to its meaning and to better understand the link between the Quran as a huda, as a true guidance, and taqwa as one of the most desired virtues, a more comprehensive understanding of the term is required. That understanding is dependent on our understanding of the nature of man and woman. The Islamic perspective is that we as people are composed of both body and soul, or we can say matter and spirit. We are also considered to be both the vicegerents of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth, that's Khalifatullah, and his bondsmen, Ibadullah, as on the earth. As vicegerents, we are commanded to perfect our earthly existence, whether it be in our private, our domestic, our social or our economic lives. And as bondsmen, as Ibadullah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are ordered to perfect our spiritual existence. And taqwa restricts both of these conditions. In other words, and all, as alluded earlier, it means to observe our duty towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all our social and communal relations. That's towards Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And in our spiritual relations towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. And this is a very difficult task. And one of the means that Allah has given us to attain this level is the month of Ramadan. In the Arabic, the emphasis is quite clearly on the phrase لَعَلَّكُمْ, so that you may or perhaps. The means to taqwa through the great institution of fasting has been placed at our disposal. It is up to us to use or misuse or even ignore this means. And this condition is taken in the following prophetic saying or hadith. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, for those who do not refrain from lying or acting on such lies, Allah has no need for their abandoning their food and drink. So Jamaatul Muslimin, taqwa can further be realized through three opportunities provided for us by the fasting. Number one is the discipline or disciplining of the will, called Tarbiyahul Irada. The second is the purification of the self, known as Tazkiyatun Nafs. And the third is the purification of the soul, Tasfiyah wa Ruh. The potential of fasting as such, and Ramadan in particular, making available these opportunities cannot be denied. With regards to the disciplining of the will, Nabi Sallallahu said, for everything there is a purification, and the purification of the body is to fast, and fasting is half of endurance, of patience. All acts of endurance are naturally a function of the strength, or otherwise known as the will. If the will is strong, then endurance, sabr, is strong. If the will is weak, then endurance is weak. One of the primary aims of sabr as an act of will is to bring the will of the human being in harmony with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is essentially if we wish to be acknowledged as ibadullah, as servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second, as for purification of the self, of the nafs, here understood as the egotistic self. Hadith of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, this, that fasting is intended to condude for such purification. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if any one of you fasts, then do not speak obscenely, nor act obscenely. If anyone picks a fight with him or insults him, let then him say, I am one who fasts, I am one who fasts. And here, the outer manifestation of the nafs, that is of obscene speech and obscene behavior, are addressed with a view to bring it under control, and hence purifying our inner self. The third one, the purification of the soul. On the other hand, this is dependent on the extent to which it is absolved from all sin. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, those who fast with absolute faith, iman, and absolute contentment will have all their previous sins absolved, forgiven. And this may read as a definite promise to the effect that the absolution of one's sins, the waiving of one's sins, is guaranteed if the two seemingly simple conditions of fasting is met, that is with total iman and with total contentment. So these three processes, Jamaatul Muslimin, are essential to the development of a genuine taqwa, and few religious acts provide us a greater opportunity for the cultivation of this than the month of Ramadan. Allah says at the conclusion of the initial verse that we recited, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, وَلِتُكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ وَلِتُكَبِّرُوا اللَّهَ عَلَى مَا هَدَاكُمْ وَلَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. That He wants you to complete the prescribed period of fasting, so that you are able to magnify the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His having guided of taqwa, a virtue that allows us to truly participate in that great celebration in honor of the revelation of the Quran as a huda, as a true guidance to all people, which is, as mentioned earlier, the month of Ramadan itself. It is a virtue, furthermore, that allows us to magnify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He ought to be magnified, namely with complete awareness of our earthly duty and our spiritual duty, and therefore to be of those who are truly thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a virtue too which is ultimately celebrated in the Holy Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Ya ayyuhan nasu inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qabaila lita'arafu inna akramakum indallahi atqakum innallaha alimun khabir. Aw O mankind, we have created you from male and female and fashioned you into peoples and tribes that you may come to know one another. But indeed, the most honored to grant us the understanding and the taste of true taqwa in this month of Ramadan, so that we can truly appreciate the greatness of Ramadan, the holy month of Ramadan. وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. There's two announcements from my side, inshallah. The one is we invite everyone to join us every Sunday morning, inshallah, for a pre-Fajr program starting 3:30 here in the masjid. Everyone is most welcome. We will do tahajjud amongst many other nawafil salah. Then secondly, we also have a madrasa that's running from 10 o'clock Sundays in the masjid also. We discuss the month of Ramadan, and also immediately after that, yeah, about 11:30, 11:15, we also have the dhikr that is continuing every Sunday. Inshallah, Sunday is the day we have nothing to do. Please join us, inshallah, for this ibadat, inshallah. And I don't know if Imam Fadil is going to announce, but I was given this announcement. It is from Abdul Razak Pandi and Khalima Pandi, departure for Umrah, inshallah. We wish to bid salam to all our relatives and friends on our departure for Umrah, inshallah. We sincerely wish to ask your forgiveness for anything we may have said or done, intentionally or unintentionally. We humbly request you to make dua that Allah Almighty grants us a safe journey and our health and strength to fulfill all our obligations of this holy undertaking. That our home and families be in Allah Almighty's safekeeping, and that we be granted accepted Umrah, inshallah. We will not forget you and your loved ones in our du'as, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows on your family the same honor, inshallah. Ameen. The date of departure is the 14th of April 2022, leaving time 05:46, that's 5:45. Kind regards, yours in Islam, Abdul Razak Pandi and Khalima Pandi. Akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Want to say shukran for Imam Ziyar for today's khutbah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to practice on the good advice that was given today, inshallah. I just have two announcements. Dr. Hamad Karim, he sent salams to the Jama'ah and requested that everyone must make dua for him for good health. He's going for chemotherapy on Monday. So we make dua that Allah grant him speedy recovery, complete shifa, inshallah. And also, Brother Amin, look, his son is going for recovery and complete shifa also. And to all our sick during the month of Ramadan, may Allah make it easy for them and grant them shifa.
يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله أستعينه وأستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فالله تعالى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان وقال الله تعالى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه رواية قال إذا أصبح أحدكم يوما صائما فلا يرفث ولا يجهل فإن امرؤ شاتمه أو قاتله فليقل إني صائم إني صائم. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من صام رمضان إيمانا واحتسابا غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. وقال الله تعالى أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولتكملوا العدة ولتكبروا الله على ما هداكم ولعلكم تشكرون. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.
اللهم صل وسلم وزد وأدم وأنعم وتفضل وبارك بجلالك وكمالك على زين عبادك وأشرف عبادك سيدنا ومولانا محمد والحمد لله رب العالمين.
الحمد لله أستعينه وأستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من يطع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذرياته. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر وأصدقهم حياء عثمان، وأقضاهم علي، وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة، والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة، وحمزة أسد الله وأسد رسوله. اللهم اغفر للعباس وولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا. الله الله في أصحابي لا تتخذوهم فردا من بعدي، فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم، ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم. وخير أمتي قرني، ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. اللهم إذ الإسلام وأنصاره، وأذل الشرك وأشراره. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى، واجعل آخرتنا خيرا من الأولى. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وجعلنا منهم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ولا تجعلنا منهم. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا وصيامنا وركوعنا وسجودنا وتسبيحنا. ربنا وتقبل دعاء عباد الله رحمكم الله. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم، ودعوه يستجب لكم، وذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وجل وأتم وأكبر، والله يعلم ما تصنعون. الصلاة.